I know who Steve Harvey is, and while I can't speak in his exact voice, I can give you a straight, honest, motivational speech on this idea. If they wanted to, they would. Let's start with the truth that stings a little. Most of the time, people do exactly what they want to do, not what they say they'll do, not what they promise in the middle of the night, not what they talk about when they're feeling guilty or lonely. What they really want shows up in their actions. If they wanted to call, they would call. If they wanted to show up, they would show up. If they wanted to love you right, they would at least be trying. You don't have to decode 1,000 excuses. You don't have to become a private investigator over every mixed signal. You don't have to write a novel in your head explaining their behavior. Just watch what they do. You've probably had that person you care about who keeps you confused. One day, they're all in. Next day, you can't find them. One week, they're telling you how much you mean to them. The next week, they're too busy to reply to a text. You sit there staring at your phone, rereading old messages, replaying conversations in your mind, trying to figure out what changed. Did I do something wrong? Did I say too much? Am I not enough? And while you're tearing yourself apart, they're just living their life, doing what they feel like doing. Because that's what people do. They prioritize what matters to them. They make time for what they value. They find a way when they truly care. If someone wanted to make you feel secure, they would communicate with you clearly. They would show consistency. They would respect your time. They would care about how their actions affect you. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, but there'd be effort, there'd be growth, there'd be some sign that you matter. When someone wants to, they don't leave you guessing every single day. They don't always leave you hanging on, maybe, and someday. They might not be able to give you the whole world, but they at least give you honesty. They say, I can't do this, or I'm not ready, or I don't feel the same. That at least is treating you like a human being with feelings, not an option on a shelf. But here's what many of us do. We fall in love with potential. We fall in love with what we think they could be. If only they'd heal. If only they'd grow up. If only they'd see how amazing we are. If only they'd wake up one day and realize we were there all along. So we settle for crumbs because we're convinced a full meal is coming. We excuse bad behavior because we remember the handful of good moments that came before it. We wait, we hope, we replay the highlight reel and ignore the full season. And then we tell ourselves they care, they're just going through a lot. Meanwhile, they're living exactly how they want. And we're the ones putting our own happiness on pause. There is one thing that will change your life the moment you deeply accept it. You are not hard to love. You're not too much for the right person. Your standards are not crazy. Your desire to be called, prioritized, respected, protected, appreciated, none of that is asking for too much. That's basic relationship nutrition. But if you keep feeding yourself off of people who only give you the bare minimum, you'll start to believe you don't deserve anything more. When somebody really wants to be in your life, they don't treat you like a backup plan. They don't treat you like an inconvenience. They don't leave you constantly wondering where you stand. Now, before we use, if they wanted to, they would. As a weapon to judge everybody, let's also be real. Life is complicated. People have mental health struggles, financial problems, family responsibilities, trauma responsibilities you may know nothing about. Sometimes they genuinely want to be a better partner, a better friend, a better parent, but they don't have the tools, the maturity, or the healing yet. Sometimes they're stuck in their own patterns and can't show up the way they wish they could. That's real. But hear me clearly, their limitations are not your job to fix, and they are not a reason for you to stay in pain. You can have compassion for what someone's going through and still be honest about how they're treating you. Feeling sorry for someone does not require you to be their emotional punching bag. The phrase, if they wanted to, they would, is not about becoming cold or heartless. It's about clarity. It's about no longer volunteering for confusion. It's about listening to what people are actually telling you with their behavior. Somebody says, I really care about you, but they only reach out at 2 a.m. when they're bored or lonely. Somebody says, you're important to me, but they cancel on you over and over. Somebody says, I'm going to change, but months and years go by and the same behavior keeps repeating. At some point, you have to stop asking, what do their words mean? And start asking, what is their pattern telling me? Because the pattern is the truth. You know why this hits so hard? Because deep down, you've seen it in your own life. You know what it feels like when you actually want somebody. You know how you make time for someone you're interested in. You know how you prioritize what matters to you. You've stayed up late for people. You've gone out of your way. You've rearranged your schedule. You've helped people when you were tired, broke, stressed, overwhelmed, because you cared. You wanted to show up. You didn't just talk about it. You did it. That's what it looks like when someone wants to. That's why you feel that sting when others don't do the same, because you know the difference. You know what's possible when someone cares. But here's the part a lot of people skip. This phrase is not just about them. It's also about you. If you wanted to, you would. It's easy to look at everybody else and say, if they really cared, they would treat me better. But sometimes you have to turn that mirror around and say, if I really cared about my own peace, my own worth, my own future, why am I still staying where I'm not chosen? Why am I still shrinking myself? Why am I still accepting the bare minimum? If you wanted to protect your heart, you could block that number, stop responding, set boundaries, walk away. If you wanted to build the life you say you want, you could start with small, consistent steps today. If you wanted to honor yourself, you could stop chasing people who keep running. We love to tell stories about why we can't change. I'm too attached. We've known each other for years. They're all I've got. What if I never find anyone else? So we hang on to situations that are clearly draining us, and we wrap it in this language of loyalty and love. But sometimes it's not love, it's fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of facing ourselves. And as long as fear is driving the car, we'll keep steering back into the same patterns. Ask yourself honestly, do I want them? Or do I just want not to be alone? Do I love them? Or do I love the fantasy of who I wish they were? Because if you truly wanted peace more than temporary comfort, you'd start doing the hard things that lead to peace. Let's talk about effort. You don't need someone who's perfect. You don't need someone who never messes up. You just need someone who tries consistently, actively, sincerely. Someone who listens when you say, this hurt me, and actually adjusts, not just apologizes once and repeats the same thing tomorrow. Someone who doesn't use, that's just how I am, as a permanent excuse to stay the same. Someone who says, I hear you, and you see that hearing turn into action. If someone repeatedly shows you that changing for you, loving you right, respecting you, is at the bottom of their priority list, you have to believe them. Not their tears, not their late night promises, not their apologies when they're afraid to lose you, their priority list. On the other side, you need to look at your own effort toward your goals. You say you want to start a business. You say you want to go back to school. You say you want to get in shape, heal from your past, level up your life. Listen to your own actions. You've got time for scrolling for hours, but no time for reading that book or learning that skill. You've got energy for chasing someone who clearly doesn't care, but no energy for chasing your own potential. If you wanted to, even just a little, you could do something today. Not everything, not the whole mountain, just one step. People who really want a different life find one small thing they can do, even when they're tired, even when it's hard, because that desire pushes them past their excuses. Now let's come back to relationships, because that's where this phrase hits the hardest. Imagine how much peace you would gain if you stopped over analyzing every little thing and just took people at face value. They don't text back for days unless they need something. Believe that. They say they're confused about what they want with you, but they're crystal clear when they want attention at midnight. Believe that. They only come around when life is going bad for them and disappear when things are good. Believe that. You don't need another round of explanations. You don't need another long paragraph. You need to say to yourself, if they wanted to cherish me, they would. Since they don't, I will. Cherishing yourself means you stop begging people to see your value. You stop auditioning for people who have already decided they're not going to commit. You stop chasing closure from people who showed you who they were months ago. You stop fighting to change minds that are already made up. Your value is not a group project that needs everyone's approval. It's a fact. It's there. It was there before they met you, and it'll be there after they're gone. When you believe you are valuable, you stop negotiating your worth. You stop offering discounts on your time, your body, your attention, your energy. You stop letting people pay you in apologies for what should be paid in respect and consistency. You're going to have moments where you're tempted to go back. They'll text you, call you, pop up like nothing happened. They'll say they miss you. They'll say they're thinking about you. They'll say all the right things because they know your soft spots. But I want you to remember, missing you is not the same as choosing you. Thinking about you is not the same as committing to you. Compliments are not the same as effort. Desire is not the same as loyalty. If they wanted to build something real with you, they would show you with repeated action over time. One emotional phone call after weeks of silence doesn't erase a pattern. One romantic night doesn't cancel out months of neglect. It's not about hating them. It's not about getting revenge. It's about accepting that their want for you is not strong enough to match what you deserve. And that's okay. Let them go to what they truly want and free yourself to receive what you truly need. You do not have to drag people into loving you properly. You do not have to stand at the door of someone's life, banging and begging to be let in, when the right people will open the door and say, I'm glad you're here. You will never have to convince the right person to see your worth. They may not be perfect. They may still have things to work on, but you will feel chosen. You will feel safe. You will feel like effort is a two-way street, not a one-way chase. So let that phrase sit in your spirit differently from now on. If they wanted to, they would. And if they're not, that tells you something. And if you wanted to honor your worth, you would start making different choices. And if you're not, that tells you something too. Use it as a compass, not a weapon. Let it guide you toward people who show up, not just talk. Let it guide you toward being that kind of person yourself, someone whose actions and words actually match. Stop arguing with reality. Stop writing fiction around someone else's behavior. Stop waiting for them to turn into the version of themselves you built in your imagination. You are allowed to say, I see what you're doing, and I hear what that says. Thank you for showing me. I believe you. And now I choose me.